Okay, so good day. This time we're going to discuss about collecting and analyzing data. That is module 8. So collecting and analyzing data in research is a crucial phase that requires a well thought out strategy and methodology. The process involves a series of steps, starting with the selection of appropriate data collection methods and culminating in the comprehensive analysis of the gathered information. The first step in collecting data involves defining the research objectives and questions, which guides the selection of the most suitable data collection methods. The researchers may use various approaches such as surveys, no, sometimes experiments, interviews, the most commonly used, maybe kung medyo ano siya, laboratory observation or existing data sources. The choice of method depends on the research goals, no, the nature of the research problem and the available resources must be considered. For instance, qualitative research often employ methods like interviews or observation to gather descriptive non-numeric data, while quantitative research relies on structured surveys or controlled experiment to obtain numerical data. So once the data collection process begins, researchers must be ensured accuracy and reliability of the collected information. This includes maintaining clear and consistent protocols for data collection, ensuring the quality of instrument use, and considering ethical implications and participants' confidentiality. This careful approach helps in obtaining high-quality data, reducing biases, and enhancing the credibility of research findings. To give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenters. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Carl Joshua Pinaldo, and here are my to report Chapter 8, Collecting and Analyzing Data, Primary Data, Collecting and Analyzing Secondary Data. In this chapter, we will dig into the crucial process of collecting and analyzing data. This is pivotal in any research or decision-making endeavor as it forms the foundation for drawing meaningful conclusions and making informed choices. Primary data refers to information that is collected directly from original sources. This means that the data is gathered firsthand by the researchers specifically for the current research project, like surveys and interviews to observational studies and experiment. Prim- primary data, uh, primary using primary data allows researchers to have control over the data collection process, ensuring it aligns closely with the research objectives and questions at hand. Primary data is considered more reliable and tailored to the specific research objectives compared to secondary data, which is data that has been collected by someone else for a different purpose and is being reused for a new research endeavor. Secondary data refers to information that has been collected by someone else for a purpose other than the current research or analysis at hand. This data is already available and has not been directly collected by the researcher. It can come from a variety of sources, including company records, previous research studies, books, journals, and other public resources. Secondary data encompasses information that has been previously gathered, recorded, and analyzed by individuals, organizations, and institutions for purpose different from the current research. While primary data is specific and first-hand for your research, it is also time-consuming and can be costly. On the other hand, secondary data is readily available and cost-effective. It may not fit your specific needs and could be outdated. It is also worth noting that the choice between primary and secondary data often depends on the specific research objectives, available resources, and nature of the research question. Combining both types of data can also enhance the robustness of research findings. Collecting and analyzing secondary data. Techniques for cleaning, organizing, and preparing data for analysis. Analyzing secondary data involves examining information that has been previously collected by someone else for a different purpose. Collecting and analyzing secondary data involves the following steps. Identify the source. Determining where relevant secondary data can be found. This may include academic journal, government publication, online database, books, and reputable websites. Define research objectives. Clearly articulate the specific research questions or objective that the secondary data will address. Search and retrieve data. Conduct systematic researches using keywords, filters, and criteria relevant to your research. Evaluate data quality. Assess the credibility, reliability, and relevance of the secondary data source. Consider factors like the reputation of the publisher, the methodology used in the data collection, and the currency of the information. Organize and manage data. Arrange the collected data in a structured manner. Create a database, spreadsheet, or documents to store and manage information. Clean and prepare data. Check for on inconsistencies, missing values, or error in the data. Clean and format it for analysis. Analyze data. Apply appropriate analytic techniques based on the nature of the data. That can include descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, content analysis, or other relevant methods. Interpret results. Draw meaningful conclusions based on the analysis. Visual data. While it is optional, the use of graphics charts or other visual tools to present the result in a clear and understandable manner. Document the process. Keep detailed records of the sources, methods, and steps taken in the data collecting and analysis process for transparency and replicability. Validate findings. If possible, cross-check the results with the other resources or experts in the field to ensure accuracy and reliability. Report and communicate result. Present the findings in a format suitable for your audience, such as research paper, presentation, or report. In conclusion, primary data collected directly from original sources offers a high degree of control and customization. It allows researchers to tailor data collection methods to their specific needs, ensuring relevance and accuracy. However, it can be time-consuming, resource-intensive, and may not always be feasible for certain research questions. On the other hand, secondary gathered from existing sources provides a cost-effective and efficient way to access a wide range of information. It is particularly advantageous when time constraints or budget limitations are a factor. While secondary data may not be always perfectly aligned with the researcher's specific objectives, careful evaluation of sources and data cleaning techniques can mitigate potential limitations. That's all for my report, sir.
Is there a continuation?
None po, sir.
Done na kayong dalawa?
and
Yes po.
difficult to manage. And yet,
May exercise din po ako sa na ano. Kaso tinype ko lang po eh. Hindi ko po nalagay sa PPT.
Solo ka lang ba or may kapartner ka?
Meron po kasi po mukhang wala po kasi sir eh. Kaya inireport ko na rin po.
Oh, okay. Okay, so again, I'll just want to play a video presentation wherein it could be a great help, no? As additional input, no, for the discussions of what you have, for the chapter 1, chapter 8 actually, and chapter 7 and chapter 8 actually, no? So actually, I'm an avid fan of Dr. Ed Padama, who are also a research professor. Even in senior high school, nagtuturo siya, no? So napakatyaga niya. But I just want to share it to you, everyone.
Punta po tayo sa ating usapan ngayong araw na ito. Simulan po natin sa quantitative and qualitative. So, itong tinatawag o itong palagi nyo naririnig na salitang quantitative and qualitative ay tinatawag nating research method. Nagkakaroon po kasi ng medyo kalituhan kapag ang pinag-uusapan is method and design. Actually, meron pa pong ibang method na pwede nating isama dito. Kaya lang ang pinagtabi lang muna natin para mas makita nyo ng mabuti ay quantitative method at qualitative method. Yung pangatlong sinasabi ko is mixed method. Pag sinabing mixed method, ito ay ang pinagsamang quantitative and qualitative. Ano yung pinagsama dito? Yung data gathering method. Kumuha ng isang data gathering method sa quantitative at isa sa qualitative or more than that na pinagsama, that's what we call mixed method or ang tawag din nila is quanti-quali. Okay? Kasi tinatanong nila, sir, ano pagkakaiba po ng mixed method sa quanti-quali? They're the same. Okay, so again, establish po natin quantitative method, qualitative method. Mamaya sa ating pag-uusap, ipapakita ko sa inyo ano naman yung iba't ibang research design under quantitative method and qualitative method. Pero bago yon, pag-usapan natin sandali ano yung mga characteristic at pagkakaiba, comparing and contrasting yung mga characteristic ng quantitative sa qualitative. Okay, unang-una, ang quantitative method focuses on testing theories and hypotheses. Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, ang quantitative, may hypothesis and then at the end of the research, it's either i-reject or i-accept niya yung hypothesis. Ganon din sa theory. It's either ipoprove or disprove niya yung theory sa quantitative. That's why you have a theory in quantitative research. It's either to support or to reject or to disagree to that particular theory pagdating ng end ng research ninyo. On the other hand, sa kanan nyo naman, qualitative focuses on exploring and explaining. Gusto nilang malaman at gusto nilang maipaliwanag ano ba yung mga nakita nila, ano yung na-experience nila, ano yung na-observe ng mga respondents ng qualitative research nila. Okay? So, pwedeng experience ng researcher or experience ng napiling subject or respondent ng researcher sa qualitative. Yun po ang pagkakaiba nila pagdating dyan sa area na yan. Pangalawa, sa quantitative method, analyzed through the use of statistical analysis. So data is analyzed through the use of statistical analysis, statistical formula, statistical treatment. Ano-ano yung mga examples nito? Some of them are familiar naman kayo, Spearman, Pearson, ANOVA, chi-square, and so on and so forth. Okay? On the other hand, so gumagamit ng stat dito sa kabila, medyo may idea na kayo kaagad. Pag gumamit ng stat, may involved na numbers dyan. Pero mamaya na natin pupuntahan yon. On the other hand, sa qualitative naman, ina-analyze naman dito yung nag-gather nilang data. Pero hindi numeric data. Hindi numeric data ang ginagather o nag-gather sa qualitative research. Okay? So always remember these differences ng quantitative and qualitative. They analyze it by summarizing, categorizing, interpreting, and this is called one of these methods is called thematic analysis, among others. So meron pa diyang content analysis and so on and so forth. Okay? So ang ginagather dito, kung hindi numeric data, these are responses. Ito yung mga sagot, ito yung mga nakita ng researcher, ito yung narinig ng researcher, ito yung nakitang halimbawa artifact ng researcher and then ipipresent ng researcher kung ano yung analysis niya tungkol doon sa nakita niyang artifact and so on and so forth. So doon umiikot yung analysis ng data pag ang ginagamit ninyong method is qualitative. Okay, sunod naman. Mainly, quantitative method mainly expressed or is mainly expressed in numbers, tables, and graphs. Ito po yung sinasabi natin kanina. Gumamit ng statistical analysis, obviously, gagamit yan ng numeric data. Okay, so numbers usually ang ginagamit dyan, and then they are presented in tables. Kasi sa format ng research namin, bihira kaming gumamit ng graph, pero that does not mean na hindi kayo pwedeng gumamit ng graph. Most of the time, puro tables ang ginagamit namin kapag dito sa quantitative research. And then on the other hand, sa qualitative method naman, this is mainly expressed in words, diba? Kung ano yung narinig, kung ano yung output ng interview o ginawang data gathering sa qualitative through narration. So, kinukwento nila. So, halimbawa, nag-interview sila o nag-focus group discussion, may mga sasabihin, it's either ire-record, isusulat, ito yung magiging data ng qualitative method. And then, the next one, under quantitative, this requires a large number of respondents. Karamihan madami po. Grupo. Minsan, one group, two groups, more than two groups ang respondents ng quantitative method. So, examples are teachers, students, community members, organizations, and so on and so forth. While on the other hand, halos palagi naman silang opposite. Does not require a large number of respondents. Contrasting sila palagi. Ito, hindi kailangan ng sobrang dami. Hindi naman ibig sabihin isa lang. Okay? Pero hindi ganun karami as compared sa qualitative. So, does not require a large number of respondents. Examples would be administrators. Ilan lang naman yung administrators. Kapag halimbawa isang distrito ng school at sa isang district may 6 na school, 6 na administrators lang as compared sa quantitative na pakadami nila. So, administrators, officials, individuals, pwedeng isa lang. Lived experience ng isang tao na dumaan sa ganitong experience. Or specific set of individuals, ito yung specific ethnicity or specific group na gusto mong pag-aralan. Diyan papasok yung ethnological or ethnology na research design. Mamaya madidiscuss natin yan. Yung susunod ay ang quantitative method pagdating sa pag-gather ng data, gumagamit ng close-ended questions. So ito yung answerable by yes or no, true or false. Tapos yung iba may choices, A, B, C, D, at kung ano man yung ilalagay yung pa-checkan ninyo doon sa research instrument ninyo. Multiple choice, yung iba gumagamit ng Likert scale, yung merong description na halimbawa agree, strongly disagree, strongly agree, strongly disagree. Ganon, okay? And then on the other hand, ang qualitative naman gumagamit ng open-ended question. So again, opposite. Wala siyang true or false, wala siyang discrete answer. So kailangan i-explain niya, ipaliwanag niya. So ito yung mga questions na explain, discuss, how, why, and so on and so forth. Okay. Sunod, under ng quantitative research, this uses controlled and modified variables. So may variables na ginagamit ang quantitative. Ang qualitative focuses on an individual particular set of people, ethnicity, phenomenon, and event. Wala po silang variables na ginagamit because when we talk about variables, that is relevant doon sa paggamit ng numeric data na numbers. Okay? And that is why yung quantitative is quantifiable. Ang ibig sabihin ng quantifiable, measurable. Ang qualitative, qualifiable, walang measurement. Okay? There is no way to measure yung mga areas na i-discuss ninyo doon sa qualitative research. That's why you use these types of instruments and strategies para ma-present ninyo, para ma-qualify ninyo, mabigyan ninyo ng kahulugan, qualify yung mga nakita ninyo o na-observe ninyo. Okay, the next and the last characteristic ng quantitative and qualitative, yung differences nila. Ang quantitative po may hypothesis. Again, because it uses variables, it uses numeric data, therefore, this is also relevant that you would be able to produce a hypothesis in relation to these characteristics na present natin earlier. While on the other hand, sa qualitative naman, wala po siyang hypothesis. Hindi siya gumagamit ng hypothesis because it does not use variables. Okay. Next, ito na po yung medyo kailangan pagtuunan natin ng pansin, pero I am just going to go through the different designs under quantitative and qualitative, pero yung description niya is already here. You can either record or screenshot this, or you can search for more information if you're interested in a particular research design na gusto nyong gamitin, gusto nyong gawin. Okay, so quantitative and qualitative. This is already the diagram that I made para mas madali nyo makita. So you have research writing, research study on top, and then under research again, this is not limited to quantitative and qualitative. Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, meron pa tayong mixed method. So you have the quantitative method, qualitative method, and you have the mixed method. Okay, and then under the quantitative, you have descriptive, correlation, causal, comparative, experimental. Under ng experimental, yan yung quasi-experimental and true experimental. Try to observe what is the similarity between quantitative and qualitative in terms of design. Pareho silang may descriptive. Mamaya explain natin yon based doon sa definition kung anong ibig sabihin ng descriptive. So, under qualitative, again, meron siyang descriptive, phenomenological, historical case study, grounded theory, ethnography, and narrative. Okay? So, sabi natin kanina, pareho silang may descriptive. Unahin natin yung descriptive. So, quantitative, nakalagay dyan blue and red na because both of them have this research design. So, pwede magkaroon ng descriptive sa quantitative and descriptive sa qualitative. Merong nagtatanong, sir, pwede po bang correlation, descriptive correlation? Pwede. You can use descriptive to another design within your specific method. Pero ayun. Yan na, okay. Pero hindi yung, halimbawa, correlation phenomenological. So, sa descriptive, it's okay because when you describe, you just narrate what you see. Diba? Ganun naman yung basic definition ng descriptive. So, again, going doon sa descriptive research aims to accurately and systematically describe. Ito yung sinasabi natin, i-describe nyo lang kung ano yung nakikita ninyo. Pero sa quantitative, you describe, halimbawa, sino yung respondents ninyo, population ninyo. Sa qualitative naman, ano yung phenomenon na iniimbestigahan ninyo, yung situation, yung event na nakikita ninyo. So, it can answer what, where, when, how, and why. So, both of these, this set of questions, both apply, pwede mong gamitin sa quantitative and qualitative. Diba? Actually, ang history talaga ng descriptive is originally pang-qualitative siya. Pero sabi natin, sir, sabi ang quantitative is for uses numbers. Okay, paano papasok yung narrative sa numbers? May tables kayo, di ba? When you interpret, yun yung tawag natin doon, the interpretation of the table, kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga values, yung mga numeric values ng table ninyo, sa baba, merong paragraph that is already the interpretation of the table in descriptive form. Descriptive form. Nagnanarrate kayo, nagkukwento kayo, dinidescribe ninyo. So, wag muna natin gamitin yung salitang narrate kasi doon papasok yun sa narrative. I-describe ninyo anong ibig sabihin itong pinakamataas na value, anong ibig sabihin yung pinakamababang value. Yun yung application ng quantitative, descriptive, ng descriptive sa quantitative method. Okay? So, this is again applicable to both quantitative and qualitative. The next, under quantitative muna tayo. Yung susunod under quantitative, yun din natawag nating correlation. So, the root word, ang salitang ugat dyan is relationship. You are going to establish if there is a relationship or not between two variables. So, hindi ko babasahin lahat ng definition na nasa right side. Bibigay ko lang sa inyo yung idea kung papaano ginagamit itong type ng design na pinag-uusapan natin. So ulitin ko, ang correlation establishes the relationship or no relationship ng dalawang variables. So ang lalabas dyan, it's either there is significant relationship or there is no significant relationship doon sa hypothesis ninyo. Pero sabi natin, ang hypothesis natin is palaging null. So kung nakalagay doon, sa null hypothesis natin, there is no significant relationship between variable 1 and variable 2. Sa end ng research ninyo, it's either you accept the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis. Okay, so again, ang focus ng correlation on the right side is the significant relationship. Okay, example, pero hindi ko mabibigyan ng example lahat ha, kasi medyo madami yan. Example ng relationship ng variables. Halimbawa, yung effectivity ng teacher and the seminars attended ng teacher. So I always use this example. If these are the two variables, how would you correlate them? So ibig sabihin, ang teacher ba effective kapag maraming webinar, seminar na inatenan? Is it the relationship ng dalawa? Or it doesn't follow na kahit walang webinar na inatenan o na-attended, effective pa rin siya? Or kapag wala bang webinar, hindi din siya effective, or vice versa. 'Di ba? 4 yung probability niya. So yun yung i-establish yung relationship ng dalawang variables. Okay, the next one is causal comparative. So what is causal comparative? Medyo magkakaroon ng there's a thin boundary between causal comparative and correlational research. So ano yung difference niya? On the last paragraph, unlike correlation research, both experimental research and causal comparative research typically compare 2 or more groups on subject. So, ang causal comparative, kung ang correlation focuses on the significant relationship, dito sa causal comparative focuses on the significant difference or significant differences of the groups. And aside from that, sabi nga natin, correlational research, unlike correlational research, ang causal comparative ay both experimental research and causal comparative uses 2 or more groups. Okay, so dito kasi sa correlation, usually variables lang. Di ba sabi natin, yung variable na kinompare natin kanina, dito naman, 2 or more groups sa causal comparative and experimental group. Okay. And then yung hinahanap nila, yung focus area niya is yung sinabi natin kanina, yung significant difference niya. Okay, next is experimental research. Specifically, let's start with the quasi-experimental. The prefix quasi means resembling, kahalintulad ng alin? Ng true experimental. Ang pinagkaiba lang nila is the green text. So dito sa quasi-experimental, although the independent variable is manipulated, participants are not randomly assigned to conditions or orders. Anong ibig sabihin ng not randomly assigned? So dito sa quasi-experimental, pinipili ninyo. Hindi yung pinipili, sineset ninyo. You set the parameters, you set the requirements. Kasi ang quasi-experimental, halimbawa, gusto ko malaman kung ang gamification ba na strategy ng pagtuturo ay effective. So kukuha ko ng 2 group, di ba? Sabi natin, 2 group, 2 klase. Bago ko simulan yung quasi-experimental, kailangan masiguro ko itong 2 klase na to, are they comparable with each other? Ibig sabihin, pareho ba sila ng academic academic capability nila? Halimbawa sa grades nila, wala bang pinaglayo, wala bang masyadong malaking difference itong 2 group na ito? So yun yung sinasabi natin, it is not randomly assigned. We set the parameters. Bakit kailangan halos pareho sila? Parang karera yan eh. Kung gusto mong malaman kung sino yung mas magaling, kailangan pantay-pantay muna sa umpisa. And then after that, pag nag-go, saka mo malalaman, ito mabilis, ito mabagal. In this case, sa quasi-experimental, tinetest ko yung gamification. So, kailangan malaman ko muna, pantay muna sila, And then, paghihiwalayin natin, naka-group na yan controlled group and experimental group. Itong controlled group, hindi mo gagamitan ng gamification strategy sa pagtuturo, halimbawa ng mathematics. Itong experimental group, ito ang gagamitan mo ng gamification in teaching mathematics. Di ba? So ngayon, malalaman ninyo, sabay dapat yan, kung anong quarter ninyo tinuturo yung topic na yun, specific topic. And then, itetest nyo ulit. Kaya may pre-test, post-test yan. Yung pre-test is for the setting of the standard na kailangan pareho sila. Sa pre-test, kapag may pagkakaiba yan, there is significant difference. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila pantay. Kailangan there is no significant difference. Then you can proceed with the experiment. Basically, kaya ang hirap i-discuss comprehensively. Ganon dapat ang proseso ng paggawa ninyo ng quasi-experimental research. And then, punta na tayo sa susunod. Anong difference nito sa true experimental? Yung green ulit ang tignan ninyo. Sa true experimental, basahin natin. A true experimental research is a type of experimental research, design and is thought to be the most accurate type of experimental research because of its main characteristic of random assignment. Hindi mo sineset yung mga members ng group. Talagang random yung pagkaka-group nila. So, kaya siya tinawag na true kasi parang walang bias. Di ba? Hindi mo sinet. Kasi iba naman ang objective mo sa true experimental research. Okay, so basically, that's the difference between quasi-experimental and true experimental research. Okay, natapos na natin yung isang side. Dito na tayo sa qualitative research. Ano naman yung phenomenological? Kasi yung descriptive is the same, di ba? To describe kung ano yung nakita nilang phenomenon or event para maipaliwanag nila. Bigyan nila ng meaning kung ano yung nakita nila. Now, sa phenomenological, phenomenon ang kanyang focus. So usually, this focuses on the experience of an individual, not necessarily the researcher. Hindi kailangan yung researcher kung ano yung na-experience niya. Pero yung researcher, halimbawa may sinusundan na individual, ini-interview, ino-observe, and then nagte-take note siya. Ano ba naramdaman mo nung ganito, nung ganyan? Anong ginawa mo nung ganyan? So, di ba POV, point of view? That's why some titles under phenomenological starts with lived experiences. Ano yung experience nung taong ito doon sa particular situation na to? That will fall under phenomenological. Okay? So basically, that's the concept and idea behind phenomenological research. The next one is historical. Hindi siya literally it does not only focus literally on history. Okay? Basta historical, hindi tungkol sa history. Pwedeng, halimbawa sa climate change, sa aside from climate change. Halimbawa sa climate change before, ano ba ang status ng environment natin? Tapos anong nangyari? Bakit nagkakaroon na ng ganitong panahon natin ngayon? You trace it back and then you have to find the relevance and the effect nung past dito sa present natin. Bakit ganito siya ngayon? Ano ba ang nangyari nung nakaraan? So, yun ang i-establish ninyo sa historical. So, aside from that, obviously, you can also use that doon sa literal na historical. So, if there was a historical event na you want to investigate, wherein a new evidence emerged, di ba? That would affect kung ano yung current or present situation ngayon, you can also do that. A classic example is the research of Dan Brown, which is also a book, which also became a film, which also became a controversy. Again, ulitin ko, that was based on a research done by Dan Brown. Nagkaroon ng impact ito in relation to the faith, to the general faith ng Christianity. Okay, so actually, the impact would depend on the individual who watched and who read the book. Okay, so ito yung isang focus ng historical. It was in the past. And then eventually, nagkaroon siya ng malaking impact ngayon, di ba? So kung gaano kalaki, siguro that's another topic for a research. Okay, so the next one is case study. Case study, before I was really immersed and involved in research. Naririnig ko yan sa mga kaibigan kong social worker. Why? Because ang case study sa kanila before was yung development of an individual which they call clients, and ito mga individuals na ito, susundan nila yung development niya. Example ng mga clients nila, social workers, in our particular institution, hindi ko na lang babangkitin kung saan, street children, drug dependents, battered wife, yun yung mga ganong area. So may mga case study folders sila. Di ba? Nag-improve ba siya from the starting point ng ganitong age hanggang sa lumaki na siya, nag-develop na siya, naging productive part na ba siya ng society? O ganun katagal ang case study. From that particular field of specialization, kung sa social work or social sciences or social study. So, aside from that, marami pa siyang ibang area na pwedeng paggamitan ng case study. This is really more focused doon sa development, kung anong area na pinag-aaralan o sinusundan ninyo doon sa study ninyo. So, by definition, a case study is an in-depth, very comprehensive study of a person. Yung sabi natin kanina, yung example ko, group event. In a case study, nearly every aspect of the subject's life, lahat ng aspect ng buhay nung taong yon o yung development nung iniimbestigahan, and the history is analyzed to seek patterns and causes of behavior. Bakit siya naging ganun? Bakit siya, paano siya gumaling? Paano siya naging productive? O bakit nag-relapse siya, bumalik siya sa dati? Yun yung mga imbestigahan dito sa case study. Case study can be used in a variety of fields, including psychology, medicine, education, anthropology, political science, and social work. Okay? So that is what we call case study. Now, grounded theory. Grounded theory, from the word grounded, it is anchored. Naka-angkla siya sa mga data, sa evidences that you gathered. Ano yung naka-angkla doon? Yung theory na na-produce ninyo na bago ay naka-angkla doon sa mga data na na-gather ninyo. Halimbawa, based from these data, I formulated this new theory, which is, ang tawag natin doon is grounded theory. Usually you produce, ang output niya is a new theory based on the data or evidences gathered from your research. So, ang pinagsimulan nito was the research by Glaser and Strauss, and ang research nila is awareness of dying. And then from that, nakapag-interview sila ng mga tao, siguro mga near-death experience, and then eventually after that, they were able to formulate a new theory based on that particular research. That is why it is called grounded theory. So kung gusto nyong gumawa ng bago nyong theory on a particular subject na interesado kayo, this is the research design for you. The next one is ethnography. So again, from the root word, yung salitang ugat na ethnicity is specific group. Again, not literally yung mga ethnic group lang. It is not exclusive to ethnic groups, but to small groups that have developed their own culture, tradition, and language. Diba? So, pwede bang ethnography sa mga millennials? Pwede bang sa yung mga hype beast, sa mga Jejimon? Okay? It can fall, you can use phenomenological based sa perspective ng taong nandun, or you can use ethnography. Diba? So, basically, what you study pag ethnography are the cultures, traditions, language developments, ano ba yung nabuo doon sa grupo na yun. So aside from yung group na minention ko, pwede din literally ulit mga ethnic groups that are not yet, as much as possible, you create a study that has not yet been conducted before. So halimbawa, gagawa kayo ng study halimbawa sa mga Ifugao, medyo madami na tayong alam tungkol sa kanila. Try to find another group that has not yet been discovered yet pagdating sa traditions, cultures, languages, at behaviors nila if you are going to use ethnography. Okay? Then the next one is, this is the last design, narrative. Ito yung sinasabi natin, narrative versus descriptive. Kapag narrative, this focuses on telling a story. Pagkukwento. Ang descriptive, you describe. This one, you tell a story. A literary form of qualitative research is narrative. Narrative research is all about collecting and telling a story or stories chronologically in order and in detail. So, magko-collect kayo ng data, tapos ikukwento ninyo in detail and in sequence, in chronological order, kung ano yung nalaman nyo, na-discover ninyo on that particular data. Okay, basahin natin yung second paragraph. Researchers writes narratives about experiences ng individual. Describe niya yung na-experience nung individual na yon, yung life experience niya. Ano ang kahulugan ng experience na yon? Usually, a narrative research design is focused on studying an individual person. The researcher becomes the interpreter of the individual story. Parang ano ito yung sa literary writing or sa technical writing, biography, writing a biography of a person, okay, as opposed to a community. So ang focus niya is an individual instead of a community. Okay, so we were able to finish in the
Okay, so I think that's it for today. So may I request everyone to please turn on your camera para sa ating attendance for today. So as I mentioned on Friday, we look forward that the chapter 9 and chapter 8 will be able to discuss. Okay, so first slide. 1, 2, 3. Sino yung nandiyan sa maraming ilaw, ha? Sana all. Wait lang, post ko muna dun sa 7 p.m. Okay, sige. Next slide. Last slide actually. So, 1, 2, 3. I'll just want to remind everyone, I already checked your quizzes. Ongoing ako dun sa inyong prelim exam. Sorry, di pa ako nakapag-encode. Kaya lang, I am disappointed kasi karamihan sa inyo nag-copy-paste at saka po nag-AI sa ating quiz ng essay. So, sad to say po, siniro ko po yon. Okay, para aware kayo na hindi dapat nagka-copy-paste at saka po nag-AI sa ating mga quizzes. Ganon din po sa essay natin sa exam. Pag kayo po yung nagganon, isisiro po natin. So kung kayo po yung mga bagsak ngayong prelim, bawi po kayo ng midterm and finals. Okay? Huwag po mag-AI, huwag mag-copy-paste. Okay? Mayroon po si Dr. Abanting Turnitin license na pwede po ma-detect kung kayo po ay nag-copy-paste at saka nag-AI. Okay? So good night everyone. You may take your dinner right now and God bless. Sa mga bumabiyahe pa, ingat kayo. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po. Fine, thank you, sir.
Goodbye and thank you po, sir.